Good evening everyone, we are the last group and we are going to continue the discussion about the introduction of emerging literature. So I'm Jamaica Malajan and I'm going to discuss about the doodle fiction. So what is doodle fiction? Doodle fiction is a literary presentation where the author incorporates doodle drawings and handwritten graphics in a place of traditional font. Drawing enhances the story, often adding humorous elements that would be missing if the illustrations were omitted. So, doodle fiction is a style of art or a style of storytelling to show which are the reader conveyed information or message from the drawings of which is the author created, such as the comics. We can easily identify or know what the stories behind those comics because of the doodle fiction. And now, let's go to the characteristics of doodle fiction. It is a simple drawings that have a concrete representational meaning or maybe just composed of random or abstract lines. So it means that doodle fiction is composed of random lines or abstract lines with a specific meaning or specific explanation. So, doodling engages the brain, the executive resources. When we say executive resources, it is a process. It is a process to help us to plan. It is a process to help us to focus and to achieve our goal. So of course, it needs the brain. A brain that helps us to create an idea. And also, I do believe that in terms of creating or doodling, it's not just all about the skills, but also the brain. And lastly, it is also act as a mediator between the spectrum of thinking too much or thinking too little. And also, it is helps to focus the current situation. So when we say mediator, it is acting intermediary or go between the two parties or the go between on the other side. So it helps the artist or the author to get the attention of the reader and to relay the message behind those creations. Such as example, the scientists use doodling to explain theories, and also mathematicians use doodling to explain problems and solve equations.
Good day everyone, I am Rosemary A. Lopez and my topic for today is all about flash fiction. Flash fiction goes by many names, including microfiction, microstories, short stories, very short stories, sudden fiction, postcard fiction, and nanofiction. While it can be difficult to pinpoint an exact definition, its brevity, length, background, and purpose. What are the rules of flash fiction? Flash fiction is the modern term given to a very short story, usually one under 500 words in length. There is no standard definition and some people argue the term only applies to stories of less than 300 words and others say that any story under 1000 words qualifies. Whatever the agreed length of flash fiction, it still should contain all the elements that you would expect to find in a longer story. Elements of flash fiction explained. Flash fiction must have a beginning, middle, and an end. For the story to have impact, there should be some change in action or motivation of the protagonist. The reader needs to feel that there is some kind of resolution by the end of the story. And writing to such a tight brief is difficult. It is a different skill to that of writing a novel. Flash fiction requires brevity. The essential of flash or microfiction. The story is short in length. This could be as brief as 6 words or as long as 1000. The tale must engage with the reader's emotion. Your characters must be fully developed and not cardboard cutouts. Good fiction includes a surprise or plot twist. The ending should be unexpected and not predictable. And The story should mark a change or epiphany for the main character. This could be a physical change or a change of mind that has life-changing impact.
I'm Jana Minada, and today I will discuss 6-word flash poetry and the 4 elements that every flash fiction piece needs. What is a 6-word flash poetry? A 6-word story is an entire story told in 6 words. It is a short narrative that can have all of the emotional themes of longer stories, from funny to dramatic, sad to scary. There are 4 elements that every flash fiction piece needs to have if you want it to be good. And if you mix them just right, your flash fiction might even end up great. Number 1. Realistic characters or settings. Show us things about your characters or settings that make them unique. In other words, skip the boring stuff your readers can feel that in their own. Second, solid plot or structure. Here are some ideas on how you can do that better. In your beginning, start with a gripping hook, just like in a novel, to pull us into the story. Your end line should also pack significant punch. Remember, above all else, something has to happen. Number 3. Gripping conflict or tension. If you haven't heard by now, great fiction of any length needs both conflict and tension in order to drive the characters and the plot. Here's how. In general, conflict means that something opposes your character. Combine the 2 types of conflicts against your character and he's in for a rough ride, which means your readers can expect a compelling story. Number 4. An excellent editor. Yes, you need to pay your flash fiction the same respect. You'd pay your novel by ensuring that it is well edited. Some of us are capable editors in our own, but that doesn't mean we should not get help here.
Good day everyone, I'm Queen Angelica D. Carillo, and for this video, I'll going to explain what is scientific fiction and why scientific fiction is important. What is science fiction? A form of fiction that deals principally with the impact of actual or imagined science upon society or individuals. Science fiction, popularly shortened as sci-fi, is a genre of fiction that creatively depicts real or imaginary science and technology as part of its plot, settings, or theme. The fiction part of science fiction means, of course, that it's a fictional story, not a real account. Science fiction isn't always ultra-futuristic. Sometimes, it depicts technology just beyond or slightly different than our own sci-fi story, often ponder how science and technology can go wrong for individual people or society. Why science fiction is important? Science fiction is absolutely important in literature for a single reason. Through its creation of alternate realities in different points of time, readers are attracted to what mirrors where we are today. In that valiant search for the future, science fiction teaches us how to handle the present. And here are some of the reasons why science fiction is important. Because science fiction reflects current problem in society. Science fictions reflect on issues in society by imagining a future where these problems run out of control or are solved. By reflecting on the consequences, we learn more about how to improve society for real. It presents the solution for every issue, even if it's related to science or not. And also, science fictions broadens the ability of thinking. Science fiction allows us to think broadly without any restrictions. It presents all options and gives as many as ideas it could. The human ability of thinking has no boundaries. Science fictions give it the right direction, so it can be utilized for the benefit of human. Now another, science fiction is a freedom from world of reality. One reason why science fiction is so popular is because of the many worlds it can create our minds. The critics think that dreaming is very important for mental health, especially when it comes to finding ways to overcome difficulties in life. Another one, science fictions make us child creative also, because science fiction is very beneficial for the child's creativity. It helps them to realize everything is possible. They are allowed to think in this way also. A child will run his imagination widely. They will see the world is not limited but a broad place.
Where did science fiction originate from? The exact origin and definition of science fiction have been widely disputed, but the term science fiction was thought to have been invented in 1920s by one of the first advocates for genre, Hugo Gernsback. Number 1. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Frankenstein tells the story of a gifted scientist called Frankenstein who creates monster. And the monster is not perfect specimen that he imagined to be. Second, The Hunger Games by Susanna Collins. Third, Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. What are some main components of science fiction novel? 1. Time travel. Second, teleportation. Third, mind control. Fourth, alien life form. And last, space travel. What are the 5 elements of science fiction story writing? We have settings, character, plot, themes, and structure.
Good day everyone. My topic is all about blog. Okay. What is blog? A blog is the online journal or informational website displaying information in the reverse chronological order, with the latest post appearing first. It is a platform where a writer or even a group of writers share their views on an individual subject. So when we say blog, it is a short term of a web blog. So it is a written word that you are publishing online or the web page. So the writer used to share their thoughts on that certain issues. So there's eight characteristic of a blog. So the number 1 is a blog must always be a dynamic. So a common question about blog is how it relates to a website. Are these two essential the same, or are there any differences between them? While the website are the mainly representational blog are always intended to engage. A website is therefore a static or a supposed blog that must be a dynamic. So when we say a blog must be always be dynamic, it can make it more your website more engaging for returning the user, because it promotes the finding new content each time when they visit your web page or your blog. The second one, posts are displayed in reverse order. Unlike with a personal diary written in a notebook, blog interests are displayed in reverse chronological order. The newest post being on top, the latest one previously published one down the list until they completely disappeared from the landing page. Older posts usually archive at the following pages, but they can also be organized by the month of the year when they were published a So when we say posts are displayed in reverse order, it is a chronological order. So the newest to the oldest. So on your page, newest to the oldest on your page, because if they are timely content, which means the user will have to dig deeper to the views of oldest post. The third one is must blog have the same structure. So a blog post can also be a picture with a little or no text. It is a common trend in the fashion and the travel blogs. though it also not a rare for business related to publish infographics instead of instructional article. But regardless of the medium, a blog is always defined by the quality of its published content. So when I say must blog have the same structure, it is essential for foundation when you're making a blog. It is what we call it when you write a blog, the containing of that is of course the title, the intro, the body, and the conclusion. And it must be a good quality when you publish a context on website. The fourth one is the headline should be an attentional grabber. So, naming a blog post is an art by itself. There's a whole philosophy behind the writing article headlines. A compiling one can truly silence the noise, instantly generating clicks, driving traffic, and enticing a reader to read on. Nowhere in the online universe a title given the same kind of attention as here. So, when I say headline should be an attention grabber, it must be your title or the headline immediately hook the reader's attention to intense, then to click the context or that blog.
So hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Abigail Arca, and my report for today is the continuation of report of Miss Mariam Vergara. Number 5. One rule applies to all blog relevancy. Though every engaging content must be relevant. This rule especially applies to blog posts. This might differ in types, mediums, formats, and styles. In order to arouse interest or evoke debate, they have to be original and unique, but to be read at all blog upon their promise. To every engaging content must be relevant. This rule especially applies to yet posts. They might different in types like medium, formats, or styles. Like they have to be unique to people interested in them. They need to be unique in your own way, in their own way in blogging. So in Tagalog is kakaiba. Like because blog must always deliver upon their promise. So number 6. Blogs and links go hand in hand. As a promotional strategy, link building is not limited to blog posts, but it definitely is a characteristic that all recent blogs share. Blogs and links go hand in hand even when marketing isn't the goal. Internal linking, for instance, ensures intuitive navigation between mutually relevant posts, thus providing an exceptional reading experience. It's about the flow and facilitation of knowledge transfer. Like, you know that sharing your blog content on social media channel is an efficient way to promote. Like, mag-share ka na in the other platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, etc. and in other platforms to promote your channel. Like, you know, makalat naman talaga siya kasi nowadays more in social media. On the other hand, creates awareness regarding your brand, business, or finally position. Use a proper thought leader. Personal touch. The word blog derives from an earlier version, weblog, which is initially referred to personal online journals. Right. Before blogs became political in early 20s. They were merely means to make private thoughts and opinions in public. So private thoughts and opinions in public, like they were in the private daw nila yun. Ganun. Dati, in the early 20s. So, the personal touch, however, remains their vital characteristic today. Even with today's universal topics, the recommended interpretative approach is the one that implies uniqueness. And the subject matter requires utmost objectivity. The personal touch is accomplished through an individualistic writing style. So every blog author has an about me page and distinct signature mark. So this is number 7 ha guys ha. Personal blogs daw to individual writers who save their experience, adventures, and daily with their audience. The purpose of personal blogging can be anything like making difference through positive stories of influencing readers with their own views. This is the last, number 8. All blogs are about communication. With or without open debate, communication is still the end purpose of each and every blog post. If the blog is promotional, its goal is to attract the audience and open a dialogue that will hopefully convince them to buy what the owner is selling. It's not about sales, then it's about spreading the word, whether it imparts knowledge, provides solutions, or simply entertains. Blogging is a brilliant way of reaching out and communicating with the world without any question at all, such as transformative power of free expression exchange in the single most important characteristic of terrific blog. So the blog is in a way now to the brilliant way of reaching out of communicating with the world, like yes, because a blog is a hybrid form of internet communication combining a column, agenda, and directory. The term of short for blog refers to frequent update collection of articles or various topics with links to additional resources.
And now let's discuss about the 4 issues and challenges of emerging literature. Number 1, literature consumption is not the same as it was before. People no longer read books in the same way that they read them before. Instead, we've adopted to reading blogs, social media feeds, quickly browse listings, and watch videos. Some people have not lost their love for printed works and can reason with the writer, but the trend in literature consumption is no longer the same. The main challenge of the modern writer is to realize what modern literature is turning into and try to add their own contribution to what the people want, while still weaving in their own style, message, and little quirks. Number 2, too many writers today. Everyone who has learned to quickly tap their fingers on the keyboard easily and think of themselves as a writer. Thing is that technology has disrupted everything in such a way that there are no longer strict rules of entry into the literary words. It now doesn't really matter if you have a real talent or not. Anyone can easily call themselves as a writer and point to a self-published book. In fact, it doesn't even matter that those self-published works are far from the true works of literature in its best sense. There are way too many writers today. A real talented writer today has a harder time proving their potential in this very difficult condition
where so many untalented people publish poor quality books. Number 3, too much reuse and copied ideas, taking into account the amount of information that is produced and reproduced on the internet daily. It is really hard to come up with something new. If 100 years ago, the author had great scope for creativity and imagination, today, one can argue that we've already covered everything and published books on all possible topics and genres. Each idea any writer might consider has arguably already been written, transcribed, adapted, translated, and chewed hundreds of thousands of times. It is almost impossible to come up with something truly unique. But there is a flip side to this. If you manage to create something new, then you are almost guaranteed instant success. Uniqueness in modern literature is quite rare. The 21st century. Number 4, the last one, some types of emergent literature are dismissed as inferior literature. Graphic novels in any form were generally dismissed as inferior literature, not proper reading. People say that the style of graphic novels such as comic books or any cannot be counted as literature as they are just art. Reward your curiosity. That's all. Thank you.